One of the areas devastated by betrayal is our self-worth. Our self-esteem is often demolished, trampled on. Our confidence, self-esteem, and self-worth is often so affected that at times we don't even know who we are anymore. And more sad, we often think, will we ever be normal or the same again? So today I just wanted to chat about some ways that we can start getting back to some of that self-worth that we lost after betrayal. I'm going to start with a few questions that you can ask yourself. Now, feel free to keep a mental note of these responses, or for those that prefer things in writing, feel free to grab a pen and paper or a notepad and write down some of these questions. Of course, you could always go back and replay this video. So basically, what you want to write down is, I'm going to ask, do these apply to you? And you can either write an N for almost never or M for most of the time. There's 11 questions. You might find yourself in the middle of these, but for this reference only, for this information, we're just doing N, which is almost never, M, which is most of the time. So number one, my feelings are hurt easily. Is that almost never, or is that most of the time? Two, I get very upset if someone criticizes me, even if it's constructive criticism. Almost never, most of the time. I feel angry at myself if I make a mistake, even if it's an honest mistake. Four, instead of making decisions by myself, I usually ask other people what they think I should do. Five, I usually go along with the group, even if I really don't totally agree. Six, I feel uncomfortable when someone gives me a compliment. Seven, I feel as if I don't, quote, measure up. Eight, I never feel good enough. And again, I know this is, you're probably thinking, well, geez, that's not all the time, but it's not certainly, blah, blah. So what feels better with you? What falls on you more accurately or truthfully? Is it almost never or most of the time? I never feel good enough. Nine, I frequently say negative things to myself, like telling myself I am stupid or fat or just no good. 10, I don't like what I see when I look in the mirror. I feel very unattractive. And 11, I find myself apologizing for things, even things that aren't really my fault. So if you answered almost never, or N, to most of the questions, you're in pretty good shape. Everyone has their feelings and are hurt sometimes. Everyone gets angry at themselves sometimes. Everyone has the experience of looking in the mirror and not liking what they see. As long as these things don't happen very often, they're really not a cause for tremendous concern. However, if you answered M or most of the time, many of these questions, if you answered them, you probably have some work to do. Of course, don't we all in all areas of life? But when it comes to self-worth, you have some work to do, because you have an unrealistic or pessimistic view of yourself, which certainly isn't healthy. So you would benefit from learning some tools of, to self-soothe or regulate your emotions, just basically working on building your self-esteem and confidence. So let me just go over a couple things, actually 12 things that do not determine your self-worth. Your to-do list. Crossing off items on your to-do list is a satisfying feeling, but you can't let the number of things you crossed off your list or the number of things that you don't control your worth. While it's normal to feel proud of your accomplishments, basing your entire self-worth on your achievement is like building a house on unsteady foundation. You'll need experience. You'll just really need to experience that constant success and need to feel good about yourself. And that means you'll likely avoid doing things where you could fail. And failure is a part of life. Your job does not determine in any way, shape your self-worth. No matter the type of job you had or how much you love it or hate it, your job doesn't define who you are as a person. Your social media doesn't, so what if you have 1 million followers on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or what have you? In this digital world, it could feel like the number of followers or likes we have determines our value, but keep in mind that we are much more complex than what anyone can see on a screen. And you know that. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we live in one of the saddest generations, but with the happiest posts on Facebook. So that doesn't determine the accuracy of much. Your age doesn't determine your worthiness. Speaking of numbers, age is just a number. Some people may say you're too old or too young, but you are who you are at the moment. So just be. Your appearance. If you want to change the way you look, do it for you. But know that your physical appearance shouldn't define how worthy you are. A beautiful body or a handsome face will not last forever. Hair loss, wrinkles, and middle age can feel dreadful for someone whose self-worth depends on their physical appearance, but it does not determine our self-worth. Other people, many people compare themselves to others who have the same job title and such, but we must learn to stay in our own lane and enjoy staying in our own lane. You do you, simple as that. Let them do them. Sometimes others may pass you on this road called life, but that's okay. We're all traveling at different speeds. Number 7, how far you can run or how much you can exercise or lift, what have you. Personally, I always found it, I guess interesting would be my word, when I go to the gym and I see everybody else checking out what everybody is capable of doing. We all have this weird comparison thing going on, while ignoring the millions of variables, why somebody can lift that amount of weight or do that many squats. So if you ever tell yourself you'll run a mile and then beat yourself up when you weren't able to, know that this happens a lot. But again, this has nothing to do with your self-worth. The fact that you're making an initiative or being proactive to do something more so determines your self-worth rather than what you actually do. Number 8, what doesn't determine your self-worth is your grades. Maybe tests freak you out at school or are just really difficult. Your grades don't determine your intelligence, and they don't measure things like your dedication and your integrity, which does go speak to your self-worth. Number 9, the number of friends you have. Whether you have a ton of friends or just a couple, what matters is how you treat one another if you can turn to them in a time of need. I always tell someone, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies, because yeah, it's great to have all these, people around you, but what's more important to you, quality or quantity? And your relationship status, regardless of your relationship status, you are still just as worthy on the other side. Many people align being single with being unlovable, and nothing is farther from the truth. You're still very capable of finding love or being loved. Or maybe you're just focusing on love yourself right now. And that can go for the other direction. I mean, there's an old saying out there when it comes to marriage, many people that are in went out and many people that are out went in. But as you know, the grass is always greener, but it still has to be mowed. Number 11, what doesn't determine your self-worth is your money or lack of. Whether you're a billionaire or don't have much in your wallet or savings or any savings at all, the amount of money you have or you're making doesn't define your worth. Going deep into debt to create a facade of wealth backfires in the end, because while goods and services have monetary value, there's no doubt about that, they don't reflect your value as a human being. And lastly, 12, that do not define your worth is your likes. I'm not talking about Facebook likes, but your personal likes, such as your taste in music or movies, like what you like, whether it may be considered higher or lower. These are preferences, these are likes. They do not determine our self-worth. So a few ways to improve our self-worth. They're pretty basic. Probably heard these before, so just bear with me. I'm going to go down about 8 of them real quick. Number 1, turn off or take a break from social media. Try and take periodic breaks from social media, even if you can go a day or so. Living your life in real time brings us far more joy than any form of social media ever can. Also, create self-love habits. I talk all the time of self-affirmations, even if it's in the mirror or if you write them down and read them. Self-affirmations are critical to boosting our confidence and self-love. Also, thank yourself when you do something nice. Anything from getting yourself a glass of water, which helps you out mind, body, and soul, to something much bigger. I mean, you deserve the best of your manners. After all, we're supposed to be our best friend, our own best friend. Practice forgiveness. Unforgiveness is a volcano waiting to erupt. Unforgiveness is allowing someone to take up valuable space in your head, and life with negative energy rent free. So, you don't forgive for the sake of others. You heard this 1,000 times. You forgive for yourself. There's little more importance in life than peace. So give yourself the gift of peace by forgiving everyone. However, I encourage you to start with yourself. It's very important to forgive yourself. 4, simply put, eat healthy. It's so common in today's massively multitasking, ongoing, nonstop society that we quickly go for what's quick, but what's quick is usually unhealthy. So ask yourself, is the food I'm eating nourishing me? If not, then don't eat it because you'll only feel bad afterwards. Number 5, help someone else. Countless studies show that when we help others, not only are we immediately lifting our own spirits, but we're also adding to our self-confidence, our self-appreciation, and our self-love. Number 6, journal. To be honest, I am not a journal person myself. However, I try to at least bullet a few points when able. I will journal something that bothered me or something that I'm appreciative of, etc. Because I do like to go back and see the growth I've had, or how I've changed, or certain things that I've overcome. Number 7, meditate. This can be as long or as short as you like. If you can't sit comfortably barefoot in crisscross style, great. If you can or can't, blah, blah, blah. Wonderful. If you're riding on a bumpy subway, squeezed in between a million people, that's fine too. Close your eyes and allow yourself to fill your mind with all the joys around you. And trust me, there are plenty of joys around you. Lastly, number 8, think about your thinking. As the saying goes, where the mind goes, the person follows. Be very careful about what you're allowing yourself to think about. Now, we have little control over what comes into our mind, granted. However, we do have full control on how long we let it stay. So, practice positive thinking. And like all else, the more you do, the more you practice, the easier it gets. So some questions to get you thinking about your self-worth are questions such as, I was really happy when. Something that others like about me is. I'm proud of. My family was happy when I. In school, I generally am good at, or was good at, or today I am good at. And something that makes me unique is, because we often so negatively talk about ourselves, small changes in the way you think today, or the way you self-talk today, will make big changes in the person you'll be tomorrow. So if you take those questions like, I'm really proud of myself, from A, B, and C, or I'm unique because of A, B, and C. Something that makes me happy is A, B, and C, or something that I believe I'm good at, blah, blah. And if you think about these and really think about them, and you even write them down, and you read it periodically, these are things that are going to fill your soul, fill your spirit, fill your body. And before long, I always say our body can change our mind and our mind can change our body. So this is why it's so important to think positively, or reflect positively, because, if our body feels good, then our mind is convinced we feel good. And if our mind feels good, our body is convinced we feel good. So these are some questions to kind of get you thinking about some of the things that you have that are uniquely you and bring self-worth to you.